Yesterday, Mita spoke about 7 levels and sensation method. I suppose that most of you know about the 7 levels, so I will not go into detail about this. Because this case that I will present is combination by sensation, background method, Michal Yakir's knowledge, and Dr. Mahesh Gandhi's knowledge. We have 7 chakras. There are 7 rays of the rainbow. There are 7 days of the week, a lot of 7 numbers into the Bible. So number 7 is key, basic for our universe at all. So that's why Dr. Shankaran has identified 7 levels of existence. And the name of the first level is the name of the disease. The 7th level is fact. You know, I have spoken many times about that, but we'll repeat in short. Sensation, concomitant modalities, locality, sensation, concomitant modalities of the main symptom. Then 3rd level is emotions. At this level, Bach remedies works, some psychotherapies works. And then the 4th level is delusional level. Then sensation level. At this sensation level, 5th level actually, at the cross point of the 5th level is the reason of the disease. It corresponds with the causal body, which itself speaks about his role, the causal body, because the cause of the disease is there. And the 6th level of energy, and 7th level, which is the empty observer. Another method that I started using last year, in the end of last year, is background method, which is also very useful. It's based on the action of the neurons and the genes. We know that actually at this life, on this earth, the disease starts in the uterus, since we are conceived. And we are conceived by specific genetic code created by combination of different proteins. And when this genetic code is damaged, then the disease came. For creating this method, Dr. Genoveva Georgieva has used the knowledge from Dr. Pavlov and his experience, you know, with the dog. Carl Jung, Hahnemann, of course, Adler, Alfred Adler, and Freud. So, you know, the trial of Pavlov with the dog, when he has given a food to the dog, and then when he sees the food, his stomach starts releasing saliva, and he feels he's hungry. For example, if there is a pizza somewhere, he smells the aroma of the pizza, and then he feels hungry. But then he starts ringing a bell at the same time every day when he has given the dog food. And after some time, after a lot of repetitions, when the dog has heard this bell, he started releasing saliva and feeling hungry, which is not normal. This is disease. So this corrupted circle is happening inside of each of us. And we create this, our brain is created by one big circuit, which is created by many other smaller circuits. For example, if the remedy is taraxacum, you will, from the chief complaint, for example, you will extract the fluffs. From the fears, you will extract the stem. From the dreams, when you explore this area, you will extract the leaves. And from when you come back to the chief complaint, probably you could extract flying of the fluffs or yellow color, because the taraxacum is actually yellow color, and you will feel the smell of taraxacum, and also the this kind of milk in the stem, you know, of the taraxacum will come. And the patient usually sees the whole plant in some of the background scenes of his childhood. But the most interesting is this trial of Adler. He's very famous scientist, and he has done such investigation with a child who has loved a mouse, but every time when the child sees a mouse, he has knocked, he has created loud noise with on the metal stick, and the child startles every time. And after a lot of repetitions, though the child like mouse, when he strikes, creates this loud sound with this metal stick, on this metal stick with other metal objects, like bow. After, let's say, 22 days, when the child sees the mouse and on the background someone is creating this loud sound of the metal, the child thinks that she or he is scared by the mouse. And when we search in our materia medica or wherever, fear of mouses, for example, or fear of dark or whatever, it could be on the surface. But if we go into the background, we will see that the real fear is not from the mouse, but from the metal. And the remedy will be iron, not a mouse. Actually, the method is based on 5 senses and the background scenes, because the 5 senses connects our body to the automatic unconscious brain where the disease actually lies. We have logic mind and illogic mind. And all body functions are controlled by the automatic brain. The automatic brain are like electrical impulses that go faster than the conscious brain. Here is like that, and here is like that. So that's why when we need from the patients to tell us what comes to their mind spontaneous, not after thinking. And all broken circuits happen in childhood because that's when we learn things. Memory is stored in the logical mind, but the real senses, since the movie of life is stored into the automatic brain. And through the fear, our body releases chemicals, and through neurotransmitters, these chemicals go to different parts of the body. And after fear, after shock, after negative sensations, after some times, the disease is already located, for example, into the head. And when you ask the patients, what do you feel here with the five senses, you directly connect the patient with this unconscious brain. So that's why she says that this is leap to the minimum. There is long explanation, but in short, the structure of the background method is that we search for these five most important tips on the case. She calls this dusak. It's denial, unsaid word, uncommon, slip of the tongue, absurdity, and correction. When we look at this, one of this, especially when it's absurdity, it's a very good sign. We will solve the case. Or denial. We will ask about this denial. We will see with one example how this works. Are you with me? This is case of high fever. I took, sorry, it's in February, 18 February this year. So the main complaint is high fever. Symptoms are like usual, nose obstructed, itching nose and palate, sneezing, and coryza. These are the common symptoms of any high fever. So if we go and put rubrics, we will reach nowhere. So as Alpesh said, we search for the peculiarity. And let's see how we can find the peculiarity in this case. The coryza is very severe, like running water, like a river. Other complaint is abdomen pain from nervousness and restlessness. She told me, I feel my abdomen like a ball. Tell me more about the major complaint. We always start with the major complaint. I can't breathe and there are rivers of discharge. How do you feel it? How I can feel it is the right, the very important is the questions we ask are very important. It's like how someone has put some kind of sponge in my nose and I'm breathing through it. So how many patients will say you, I feel the coryza like someone has put some sponge in my nose? Are you here? I can see you. Okay, so make me, that's why, because it's not absurd, but it's kind of strange. That's why I asked her, make me see this sponge. And she said, it's porous, like a net, rough and brown. After some exploration, this is extraction of the case. And then I understood this is not mushroom, but this is sponge for washing the dishes. The other question we can ask, and because from mainly we can extract the remedy mainly from the major complaint. And she said when the high fever, and I asked her when the high fever started, 5-6 years before. I associate it with flowering of poplars. They are the strongest polluter, and it's a nightmare. And I asked her where this happened, and she drew me a schema with this, drew this picture. She told me it happens in some town in Bulgaria, and here is the office I worked nearby the city center. Here is the mall. Here are the trees. There are buildings. There is a road with trees, and there is a garden. Do you see anything strange in this picture? Okay, it's still early. But then we use this chart on which we list treasures, background objects, Dusak on the background, and background and Dusak objects, sorry. The last is Dusak objects. I highly recommend you to go and study with Dr. Georgieva. He has done amazing work. She has done. This is really, they both with Dr. Shankaran has worked the deepest on the methods that connects us directly with the source. So in the treasure section, treasures are objects on the background that could be the potential remedy. So that's why I have listed trees and garden, because in the garden there are so many remedies, trees, flowers. Then background objects, small, old buildings, office buildings, roads. In this scene, we had no Dusak, on the background or Dusak objects. Then she said, this garden is separated the boulevard from the local road. And my ears started moving like that. Let me see, because you know, this is second row of separation, isn't it? It could be some malvales, it could be many things. Let's see. Was there any part of the space in which you felt worst? In the office, and we are artificially separated by wooden partitions. Again separated. And suddenly she says, now it occurred to me that the office was open and these poplar fluffs were coming in. And we know that the other thing, a part of Dusak that is important, are spontaneous expressions, because they comes from unconscious brain. We know that from psychology, from Carl Jung books, we know that the conscious mind is only 5% instead of unconscious mind is 95%, but this part of the brain is dominating. We want to see the reason, we want to see the cause. We are nurtured since childhood to think logically. to be accurate, to follow the rules. And slowly we get separated from our real nature, which is here on the right side. Then I asked her about fears. And she said me, I have a fear of dark, fear of spiders. And once I was very scared when my mother scolded me. I was shocked, it was sudden, and she expressed this with a lot of gestures. So what we will ask about, fear of dark, of spiders, or this the third situation with the mother, which is full of energy. Of course, the third one, where this shocked situation with your mother happened and when. And she told me when I was fourth class in another town. Describe me what is in front, behind, on left, and on the right side of the building. And she said, this is the block with 3 entrances. There is an underground garage. There is a building, there is a block. On this side, there is a building. There are gardens. There is a cherry tree. And there is a street. And also she told me there are trees. So we again put the treasures, the background objects, and Dusak on the background on different sections. And here we see gardens, cherry trees, gardens with asthma, Chinese rose, tulips, daisies, linden tree. I've not put all these things on the picture, but she told me all those things. And on the background objects, block with 3 entrances, underground garage, boulevard, block house. And she told me there was a mulberry with white berries, not purple. So this is denial. So this is Dusak. Dusak on the background. And then she said, by the way, now it turns out that I have developed an allergy to hazelnuts, but not like the one in the culinary industry, but wild. It's white. In autumn, I picked hazelnuts, so this is spontaneous. And there is denial, so this is important. So we note this. In autumn, I picked hazelnuts right in front of us and ate 8 hazelnuts, and my throat started swelling. And I asked her, where have you seen this hazelnut for first time? In my grandmother's house. So when I was a child. So this is early in the childhood. So we have spontaneous expression, and we know that there are also important. We have in one sentence 2 things: spontaneous expression with intensity and clarity. And we have Dusak. So this sentence is very, very important. That's why I asked, where have you seen this hazelnut for first time? And she told me something interesting. In my grandmother's house. Make me see the background of this house. Outside, not inside. And she counted a long list of objects. But most interesting on that background were some greenery devices from the neighbors. And there are 3 entrances on the house. There is a garden and there is a road. So what strikes us here? What is the most exciting thing? What we observed into the second and the third scene. This is the second scene. Okay, I will tell you. This was interesting. When she told me first time, when I saw these three trees drawn there on the first picture, I said, oh, there are 3 trees. But when she repeated in the second scene, building with 3 entrances, it's not common. Not every patient will tell you how many entrances are there into the building. And in the third scene, when she repeated, there is a building with 3 entrances, this is peculiar. This is very important. I said myself, this should be part of the remedy. But in which way? And the model is this. The objects, the model is the objects that are repeated into 2, 3 scenes. Okay, I will tell you the model after that, but then I went to the dreams, and she told me I had a recurrent dream, and the dream I remember most, best, is when I was being chased by Mickey Mouse, and he was getting bigger and bigger, and I became like smaller like a dot. He takes over, he takes you over and occupies the whole firmament. So what we see here? Enlargement, 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 enlargement. And this is the sensation of which family? From Dr. Shankaransky's. This is Hamamelidae. When I feel heavy, pressed down, compressed, drudged down, like rooted into the earth. And the opposite, light, floating, and enlarged, bigger and bigger, inflated, enlarged. I'm one with the universe. Not one with the universe, but enlarged and free, floating and flying. So also from Michal Jakir, we know that subclass Hamamelididae belongs to the second column of the plant's chart. I will show you the chart after a while, which corresponds with the second row of separation of the baby from the mother's womb. So you see how beautifully the source characteristics and the sensation of the family and suborder subclass combine and entangle with each other in a beautiful flower with all parts. Now you can be sure, you can be stable, you know you are on the right track, because you hear that the both methods speak this, not the same, but the similar language and enhance each other. Then I asked her the foods that you don't like. She told me offal, onion soup, Brussels sprouts as a child I liked, and truffles are awful. It tastes like gasoline. So which of these to ask first? For which of these foods to ask first? What do you think? Which is most important? Okay, I have shown this. The truffles, because she told me they are awful. I can't bear it. They taste taste like gasoline, which is intensive and to smell like gasoline is okay, but to taste like gasoline, it's kind of strange, uncommon. So this is Dusak. So that's why I asked about the truffles. You see again the sponges. The sensation in the major complaint was like a sponge in the nose, and the food she hates most is truffle. So let's see how does this will help us to solve the case. And that's why I asked her to describe the truffle with the 5 senses: to see it, to touch it, to smell it, the texture, etc. And she told me a brown tuber that is white inside and has a very strong gas smell. Describe the symptoms of high fever to me again. This was actually extraction. I asked about 5 senses slowly, but this was the all characteristics of the truffle I have written here in this sentence. And then I came back to the main complaint. So this is the circle: major complaint, fears, dreams, food, and again major complaint. And when we come back to major complaint, all the dots of the case come together. And we can, when we pull up this, like if this is some object, when we pull this one object, the whole structure is coming together. And she described me again the same symptoms, coryza, whatever, everything. And the object, what is the object that when I put it on my hand will make me feel and experience these sensations you have into the high fever. And she told me some kind of mushroom again. Let me experience it with 5 senses. And she told me it's dense, dry, porous, and brown. This is again extraction. And then she said it can shapeshift. I said, how so? In the sense that it's hard, not soft. It's like a shell of a hazelnut. Can I see this shell? It's smooth, brown, thin, not too thick, and fragile. So you see how in the end, when we ask again about the chief complaint, all aspects of the case comes together and you can very clearly see the model, the remedy. Any suggestions? Are you here? I can't see the chat. Okay. I will do the analysis. So the model is what? Someone says something? Do someone said something? When we reach to the end, it's easy, but till we reach to the end, there are a lot of points that we have to master when we have to train our ear to hear this language and to know how to monitor, how to manage the case. So, okay, house, block with 3 entrances, garden, and road. it was repeated into the second and to the third scene, and partially into the first one. The first one, she drew 3 trees. Now I understood why she drew 3 trees, then here down again some 3 things. This is what I observed, like peculiar, into the picture. So the totality of the case is from major complaints, we extracted sponge, porous, and brown. From the model, the most important of the model is house with 3 entrances. From the food and aversion of truffles, we extracted brown tuber that is white on the inside. It's porous. Someone said something before. Do you want to comment something? From major complaint, we extracted its hard, not soft, like a shell of a hazelnut. Smooth, brown, thin, not too thick, fragile. So it's crystal clear that this is hazelnut, though she speaks about the sponge. The remedy is not a sponge, though the sponge has a pores. So it was the interesting point of the case. When I explored the hazelnut tree, it turned out I searched for this tree and these pores, because we know the nut of the hazelnut doesn't have pores. It's brown outside and white inside, as she said, describing the truffle and the sponge, which is strange. The sponges for washing dishes are generally pink or brown or green. So have you seen the sponge for washing the dishes, which is brown? Have you seen in your country? I've been in India, in England, in Greece, in many countries. It's very rare to see brown sponge for washing dishes. So this brown comes from here, and this is part of the remedy. So this is clear, I hope. But these spores came from the pollen. Can you imagine? The pollen of the hazel species, which are often the cause for allergies in late winter or early spring, can be identified under magnification 600 by their characteristic granular exines bearing 3 conspicuous spores. I never expected to find this information. I did research about the source. And the remedy is Corylus avellana, 200 C1 dose. And she responded very beautifully. The coryza gone. She had also sleeplessness that after repetition during these 5 months gone. She had problems with her partner that are also better now. And she also had some kind of curvature on the back and some dragging pains that gone after the remedy. I have taken her case before by other methods I used before, and I was prescribing her mango, Mangifera indica, because this tight sensation, and because during meditation she entered and described with the 5 senses mango tree. But when I learned the real steps of the background method, I understood how exact to ask about the 5 senses. It's not just ask about 5 senses wherever you want. There is a system. So this is the second column, Hamamelididae. Corylus avellana belongs to Juglandales, but this remedy is missing into the Michal Jakir's schemas and books, as well as to Jan Scholten. I also like Jan Scholten, use him in my practice. But this remedy was missing there, but through the case taking, we could extract this source. We can, at the 6th level, you know, we can make the patient to download this, the energy of this source that resonates, that which resonation is similar to his own. And Juglandales is on the cross point of 2nd row and 2nd column and 5th row, which corresponds with evolutionary with the school age. And in this period of our life, we develop our abilities. We have to follow rules, norms, laws. We have to work, but there is also rigidity and inferiority. She had this rigidity expressed on the back, this kind of, now I understood this kind of stiffness, like on a cardiacea, tough, stuck stiffness. But this stiffness is there also in Hamamelidae. So we can see that many sensations we can have, but when we have confirmation from the parts of the source, then we can orient much stable in the and find the right remedy. According to Mahesh Gandhi, subclass Hamamelidae corresponds with the 2nd row from 3rd month of the baby to the delivering of the baby, like we have it in the 2nd row of mineral lithium, beryllium, etc. So this is what excites me most in homeopathy, the confluence of the method